Good morning, dear students, to your English class. Today we will learn a new poem, Chapter 4.3, The Bees. This poem is written by William Shakespeare. Today we have a very beautiful poem. Now children, what do you see in the picture over here? You see bees, right? They are gathering nectar from the flower, from the sunflower. All the bees are roaming around here. You can see here also how many bees are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 bees. Right? They are all slowly coming to the flower and extracting the nectar to make the honey. Right? Now this poem talks about all of this. How the bees do the work, how hard they are working, how organized they are, what are different types of bees. Yes, you will learn different types of bees also in this lesson. Do you know that there were different types? Well, you are going to learn in this. What are their works? What are their job responsibilities? Let us learn about them in this lesson. Okay, children? Firstly, let's do an activity, an interesting activity. How do bees work? Do you know, students, how do bees work? They are divided into categories 1, 2, 3. Which are the type of bees are shown in this video? What are the jobs of the worker bees and how do the bees work? I want to watch this video carefully and find out about these bees and then write in the comment section. Alright?
In this film, we're going to describe the different castes of honeybee. Honeybees are divided into 3 different types: the queen and the worker, which are female bees, and the drone, which is a male bee. The queen bee is the heart of the colony. Without her, the rest of the colony cannot survive. She has 2 main purposes: to produce chemical scents or pheromones, which help regulate the unity and stability of the colony, and to lay eggs. You can identify the queen by the size of her abdomen, which is noticeably larger than a worker or drone bee. Within the hive, she will usually walk straight through the brood, whilst the workers and drones will have a tendency to crawl over each other. Despite this, the queen can still be tricky to spot. To help locate her, a beekeeper will often mark her thorax with a dab of paint, the colour of which will indicate which year she was born in, and so therefore how old she is. The queen can lay as many as 2,000 eggs a day and live for up to 5 years. However, after a couple of years she will start to slow her production, so it is advisable to replace the queen of each hive every couple of years. The worker bees make up a majority of the hive's population. Physically, they are the smallest bee in the hive, but as their name suggests, they perform a majority of the work. On average, they will live from 35 to 45 days, and the specific job they perform will vary with age. The first half of a worker's life will be spent taking care of the hive by tending to the queen, looking after the brood, and building the wax comb. When fully matured, they will begin to defend the hive and forage for pollen, nectar, propolis, and honeydew. Finally, there is the drone bee. Drones make up a relatively small percentage of a colony's total population, varying from about 2,000 to 6,000, depending on the time of year. Procreation with a virgin queen is the drone's primary purpose in life, and they do very little else within the hive. They have no sting, so are unable to defend the colony, yet they still need to be fed and cared for by the workers. For more step-by-step guides like this one, head over to madegood.org.
Next, students, let us know about the poet of this poem. The poet of this poem is William Shakespeare. Now I want you to listen to the short biography and let us understand what he wants to express through this poem. This is the picture of William Shakespeare. He has written comedies, histories, and tragedies. This was his book published in London. He was born in 1564, died in 1616. William Shakespeare was an English playwright, poet, and actor. He is regarded as the greatest writer in English language and the world's greatest dramatist. He is often called the Bard of Avon. His work consists of some 39 plays, 154 sonnets, 2 long narrative poems. Now, what is the theme of this poem? The theme of the poem is the Kingdom of the Bees. The Kingdom of the Bees is a descriptive poem by William Shakespeare from his play Henry V. Here, the Archbishop of Canterbury gives a vivid description of the bees' kingdom in a lyrical form to King Henry V, through which he explains how the bees, honeybees, that by a natural rule of following a systematic order can teach the act of order to the people of a kingdom. Just like a kingdom, he argues, honeybee society can support many different roles. If we notice their living standard, we can see that they have an organized life. They follow the laws of nature. They also maintain discipline in order to run their hive. What is the style of the poem? The poem was written around 16th century. Therefore, the style of poem reflects the English expressions and words used at that time. The tone of the poem is serious and descriptive. And let us understand a summary of the poem, the overall overview. In this poem, the narrator observed that though they are insects, bees have the capability to teach the human the art of living in a well-organized manner. In the beehives, there are different classes of bees engaged in diverse works, such as magistrate bees who do the corrective works, merchant bees who collect the honey, soldier bees protect their hives, and the king observes the everyday tasks going on in the hive, and the mason bees who build the hives. Most working bees do their jobs diligently, but there are some who do not and have to be punished. What the Archbishop of Canterbury tries to say is that the swarm of bees is structured and well organized, and the Kingdom of England also should be like that. Alright, students, this is the overview of the poem. Now let's go inside and learn about the poem. First, we'll do the reading with a short summary explanation. It's a short, precise summary. Will give you the idea about the poem. So listen carefully.
Standard 8, Subject English, Lesson number 4.3, The Bees. Good morning, children. Today we are going to learn and know the poem from our English text 4.3, The Bees by William Shakespeare. The bees. So work the honey bees, creatures that by a rule in nature teach the art of order to a peopled kingdom. They have a king and officers of sorts, where some like magistrates correct at home, others like merchants venture trade abroad. Others, like soldiers armed in their strings, make boot upon the summer's velvet buds, which pillage they with merry march bring home to the tent royal of their emperor, who busied in his majesty surveys the singing masons building roofs of gold, the civil citizens kneading up the honey, the poor mechanic potter crowding in their heavy burden at his narrow gate, the sad-eyed justice with his surly hum delivering over to executor's pail, the lazy yawning drone by William Shakespeare. Here, the poet William Shakespeare describes the lives of bees. Those are organized in an ordered way. They naturally learned the art of order. Though they are insects, they have the capability to teach the human the art of order, how to lead an organized society, state, or nation. In a beehive, we find uncountable bees. Among these bees, there is an emperor bee and many officer bees and civilian bees working systematically following their superior's order. Poet says that the king or emperor bee supervises the work going on in the beehive, right from building the hive to everything. Merchant bees go and find the place from where they can get nectar, and soldier bees with their stings carry nectar looted from flowers to their hive. Mason bees building the tiny rooms for it collect honey and also for their stay. Other civilian bees need nectar to make honey. At last, the drone, the lazy bees, who does not do any work, was sentenced to death by the justice bee. Like the poet writes about the unsimple life of these tiny insects. He states that their life is not an easy life. He gives the reader an insight of the bees' organized standard of living. Thank you.
Finally, students, we come to the poem explanation. The poem tells us the following: how bees work, the different types of bees in the environment, how organized they are in their work, and shows us how we should be. We should be hardworking, focused, goal-oriented, and do our work well with dedication. So watch this video explanation and pay attention. Alright, students?
Hello everyone. So our topic for today is chapter number 4.3, the bees. Okay. Now let us start with the poem and then read about the writer. On page number 88. So work the honey bees, creatures that by a rule in nature teach the art of order to a people kingdom. They have a king and officers of sorts, where some like magistrates correct at home, others like merchants venture trade abroad, others like soldier armed in their stings make boot upon their summers well-wed birds, which pillage they with merry match bring home to the tent royal of their emperor, who, busied in his majesty, surveys the singing masons building roofs of gold, the civil citizens kneading up the honey, the poor mechanic potters crowding in their heavy burdens at his narrow gate, the sad-eyed justice with his surly hum, delivering over to executor's pail the lazy yawning drone. The poem is written by William Shakespeare. Now, if you know William Shakespeare, you might be knowing that he is often called as the Bard of Avon, right? That he is always known for writing things based on his observations, okay? That he makes observations, or his conclusions are based on the observations he had made that होल्ड्स थ्रू, ओके, कि जो उनके हिसाब से उनको लगता है कि ये सच है वही वो कंक्लूड करते, राइट. ही इज ऑफन कॉल्ड एज बार ऑफ एवॉन because he is normally a playwright, a poet, an actor and what not. Okay, so while talking about the poem, the poet Bees, he is saying, so work the honeybees, creatures that by rule in nature teach the art of order to a people kingdom. They have a, okay, first line हम लोग देख लेते हैं. So work the honeybees, creature that by a rule in nature teach. Okay, that what people, देखो एक लोगों का एक ऐसा कहना होता है that we are humans, right? So we have a proper schedule and according to it we work, right? We make a timetable, we make our to-do list and that is how we do, right? But people usually thinks that these animals, they are living a full life, like अपना खुद का life वो लोग जी रहे हैं. They have a leisure life, okay, and they don't have any tension in their life. They're living their own life, what they have to do, what plans they make, they have to make, okay. So what usually happens is that the life of bees over here is shown in an orderly manner, okay. एक जो लोगों का belief होता है ना that bees वो लोग क्या life जिएंगे, उनका कोई काम नहीं होता उनको life में, that is not true. And that what he's trying to say, William Shakespeare is trying to say us that the life of bees is in a proper order manner, and even they have certain works to carry out, and even they have a proper timetable to follow. The art of order to people kingdom, they have a king and officers of sort, okay. So what now he's trying to compare, that he is saying that they also have high standards, okay. They have their own rules, they have their own government to rule the body, okay. So he is saying that we also have a particular kingdom, that even bees have their own particular kingdom wherein they have a king and where they have officers of different types. Sorts are different types at different activities, okay. So just say we have a king and then we have people under him who looks after various objects or various responsibilities. Even in the same way, the bees too have their own court in which there are many officers and there is a king, where some like magistrates correct at home, okay. So he is saying that out of which there are magistrates. Now what do you mean by magistrates? Magistrates are a civil officer, right, who works or who looks after the administration or regarding law. So he is saying that there is one of the officer who is magistrate and he looks upon all the things which are related to law and all the official works, okay. Where some like magistrates correct at home, others like merchants venture trade abroad, okay. And what he is saying that there are even merchants. Now what do merchants do? Merchants, they make businesses, right, अपना export and import करते हैं. Venture trade abroad, venture is to take up a new project which involves risk. So he is saying the same thing, that over here there is one of the bee who is magistrate. So he looks after all the laws and everything, all the office works and everything is being looked by him. मतलब क्या, it's just an example. As I said you all that William Shakespeare का conclusion किसके ऊपर based होता है, to the things which he observe and which he feels is true. So he is saying others like merchants venture trade abroad. So the categories of bees who are merchants, they are making trade, okay. They are doing trade and they are trading honey. Others like soldiers armed in their strings, okay. And the bees who are soldiers, they are bringing honey after looting the summer flowers and they are protecting the hives, okay. समझ रहा है? तो कैसे बताया? सी first they are saying that the poet follows, like the bee follow a division of labor, okay. There is a king bee, there is officers bee and so on, out of which the magistrates bee do the corrective work, कि जो कुछ correction करना है या something which is related to documents, and everything is done by magistrate bees. While some other merchant bees are the one who trade honey, okay. Like trading करते हैं ना, हमारे में merchants होते हैं जो trade करते हैं. So in bee bee, what they will do, so the merchants are there who are trading honey, and then there are soldiers who are armed in their stings. Now we like our soldiers, they have weapons, but bees cannot hold weapons, right? So they have stings. So he's saying the same thing, that soldier bees are someone, like there are two types of soldier bees, the one who are protecting the honey, who are protecting the hives so that the honey cannot be looted, and while some other ones who are bringing honey after looting the summer flowers. Make boot upon the summer's velvet bird. Now what he is saying, make boot upon. What do you mean by make boot upon? Begin to collect around. So every soldier, every bee is assigned with some work, okay? So every duty is given to, like each and every duty or each and every work is aligned to every bee. Which pillage they with marry, march bring home to the tent royal of their emperor. So what they are saying, make boot upon the summer velvet birds, which pillage they with marry, merchant bring home to the tent royal of the emperor. Now what do this mean? Okay, so what does it mean? See, make boot upon. What do you mean by boot upon? Boot upon is to collect around. So what are they collecting during summers? The flowers are growing, right? तो flowers जब grow होते हैं तो उनमें they have these velvet birds, मतलब छोटा सा कली जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं, that is called as bird, right? So when the flowers are growing, they have their birds, and what do these bees do? They go there and loot up. See, which pillage they with marry, march bring home. So they loot up this बर्ड्स, जो फ्लावर्स में से जो हनी टाइप निकलता है ना उनका, जो सक करते हैं वो लोग फ्लावर्स में से, तो दे सक दैट फ्लावर, दे सक इट फ्रॉम द बी, फ्रॉम द बर्ड, एंड देन दे कम होम. सी विच पिलेज दे विथ marry, march, bring home. And pillage, what do you mean by pillage? Pillage is loot. So they loot that स्वीटनेस, वो जो वो लोग सर्क करते हैं फ्लावर में से, बर्ड में से वो लोग सर्क करते हैं, वो सर्क करके वो लोग घर पे लेके आते. दे ब्रिंग टू द रॉयल, दे ब्रिंग टू द टेंट रॉयल ऑफ देयर एम्परर. ओके, सो एज आई सेड अर्लियर, दे हैव बीन कंपेयर्ड विद किंग एंड ऑफिसर्स. सो दे ब्रिंग बैक दीज वेलवेट बर्ड्स में से जो उन्होंने सर्क किया है, मतलब फ्लावर्स में से जो वो लोग ने सर्क किया है. दे सर्क हनी, राइट? हनी क्यों सर्क करते हैं? बनाने के लिए. तो वो जो हनी सर्क किया है वो लोग अपने रॉयल टेंट में लेके आते हैं. Who busied in his majesty's surveys. Okay, now what he's saying, who busied in his majesty surveys the singing masons building roofs of gold. Now what do you mean by masons? Masons मतलब क्या student? कि a person who is very much skilled in cutting, dressing, layering of stones और building. तो वो किस में लेके आते हैं? अपने रॉयल एम्परर में लेके आते हैं वो हनी, एंड फिर वो हनी से वो लोग पूरा अपना हनी कोम बनाते हैं. तो वो वही बोल रहे हैं दैट द मेजेस्टी, मेजेस्टी मतलब क्या? द एक ऑनर जो हम लोग देते, राइट? द ऑनर विच वी गिव टू किंग इज कॉल्ड एज मेजेस्टी. सो दे आर टेलिंग दैट द बर्ड्स ब्रिंग बैक द हनी, एंड देन द मैसन्स आर बिल्डिंग, दे आर बिजी इन बेकिंग द हनी कोम. बिल्डिंग रूफ्स ऑफ गोल्ड मतलब क्या? वही हनी का कोम बनाना, बिकॉज वो फिर गोल्ड जैसा दिखता है ना, दैट इज वाई इट इज सेड एज बिल्डिंग रूफ्स ऑफ गोल्ड. The civil citizens kneading up the honey. Now what do you mean by civil citizens? Civil citizens मतलब क्या, कौन हो गए? Civil citizens मतलब जो बी कैटेगरी में जो ओल्ड वाले बीज होंगे ना वो. So the civil citizens are kneading up the honey. Kneading is to mix it properly. So they are mixing it properly. The poor mechanic potters crowding in the heavy burdens at his narrow gate. Okay, narrow gate. Now what they are saying further, so now why the poor mechanic is into burden? Why? What are they saying? See, the poor mechanic potters crowding down the heavy burdens at his narrow gate. Okay, that now the मैकेनिक, द पुअर मैकेनिक, द बी जो मैकेनिक के फील्ड में है, दे आर वेरी सैड एंड दे आर हैविंग अ लॉट ऑफ बर्डन. वाई बर्डन? बिकॉज इतना सारा हनी आ गया है, बट नाउ दे हैव टू मेक हनी कम आउट ऑफ इट. सो दे आर वेरी मच इनटू बर्डन एंड दे आर हैविंग अ लॉट ऑफ टेंशन. The sad-eyed justice with his surely hum. Now what they are saying, the justice, sad-eye justice. Justice मतलब क्या? The one who is going to provide you justice, the one who is your judge you can say. Okay, तो उनका हम लोग ने स्टार्टिंग में देखा कि it was a kingdom, right? They are having kings and various officers, so out of which the one is judge who's going to provide justice. So with his surely hum, that he is in a very much bad tempered, the justice, the judge, he is in very much bad tempered, and he is saying that he is delivering over to executor's pale the lazy yawning drone. Okay, the lazy yawning drone is a male bee, so the one bee, like the bees who are lazy, usko wo delivering मतलब handling over to executor's plane. मतलब क्या executors मतलब क्या, a person who carried out a death sentence. The basically what they are trying to say in this 3 lines, that the bee who's very much lazy and who's not doing his work on time, so that bee is being punished by the justice, the judge bee, and he is given that work of completing the, like he is being ordered to complete the work. Understood? So that is the punishment which is given to a lazy bee. So that is how we come towards the end of the poem. You have understood the poem, what over here the poem. Let us take a short summary of this poem. See, we can start like this, that the poem, the bee, gives us a vivid description on what is happening in the kingdom of bees in a poetic form. We are showing through the poem the life of the bees in an orderly manner, as against the belief that bee leads a leisurely life, right? That we have seen. He's saying, William Shakespeare is saying that I am going against this idea that a bee lives a free life. No, they are not living a free life. Even they are living a life in a proper and a order way. The bees have a high standard, so also a set of laws and rules that governs them. As we have seen, they are saying that they have a kingdom, and out of which there is a king and there are officers, there are laws and rules which are made in this kingdom. They lead a disciplined life. In this poem, the poet tells us that the bees follow division of labor, with the king bee at the head of the whole work, and he carries out his supervision regularly, right? Here they are all given work. Division of labor मतलब क्या, everyone is distributed work equally, out of which the main bee is the king bee who looks after all the work and he does the supervision of the work, while is उनके under there is a magistrate bee who does the work of correcting. Okay, कि कोई correcting work है या any document related work, anything which is related to correcting of work is done by magistrate king. The merchant bee trades honey, right? The merchant वाली bee जो है, she trades honey, while soldier bee brings honey after looting the summer flower, and they protect the hives. The mason bee build the hives with the help of the other working groups. हम लोग ने देखा, right? ये जो mason bee है, she is busy building the honeycomb. Everyone is assigned a work and everyone is assigned a specific duty and does their work diligently. If someone is lazy, there will be punishment also. हम लोग ने last के 3 lines में देखा, right? That if someone is very much lazy, the justice bee provides the punishment. Thus, we come to know about the organized and disciplined life of bee. The poet may be laminating that the community of human beings is way behind the bees. The poem is surely a guide for us to follow the organized way of living and government from the bee, right? That William Shakespeare is trying to say us that even we should get inspired by these bees and even we should live a organized life. Okay, that is how we come towards the end of the explanation of poem.